So I wanted to make this video to kind of take you guys through how I went from fat, pretty much, peak bulk to shredded in less than 3 months, literally without doing a bunch of intense, useless cardios or giving up my favorite food. So first off, I will have to rewind to around the end of 2022. I just got off a cut from a short period dirty bulk. Now, I did gain a good amount of size, but I did regret this bulk because it did kind of deteriorate my health a bit, as you could probably guess. And honestly, I didn't even end up getting as lean or look the way I was hoping to by the end of the cut. So I decided to pretty much just bulk again pretty soon after the cut. But this time I promised myself I was gonna dedicate myself to a longer term bulk, right? Meaning I will be doing a lean bulk, eating mostly clean and in a smaller surplus and sticking to it for a longer period of time. Meanwhile, I was also doing strength training because I did just started powerlifting at this point. I was very consistent with being in a calorie surplus, and my trainings as well, and drinking high calorie shakes that I made for myself pretty much every night. And then I heard about this local national powerlifting competition. Now, when I heard about it, I've been powerlifting for a couple months now, but never really competed. So I thought to myself, why not sign up? So what I did was exactly that. I signed up to the competition for my first powerlifting meet. So I spent, months prepping and training myself for this competition while also focusing on bodybuilding style training to build muscles and bulking, right, and eating in a calorie surplus. Not to mention, guys, I was training for this competition without a coach because I couldn't afford one, so I was pretty much just training myself. I made this competition my goal, guys. I literally was not thinking about anything else. I was so dedicated. Fast forward to March, the competition is now right around the corner, and I was about 2 weeks out, but then something happened that could have literally ruined my chance of competing. I got COVID. Literally just 2 weeks before my competition, I couldn't train. I had to lock myself in my room all day for literally a week. I was barely eating and I was losing weight. Obviously at this point, I was like fucking depressed, disappointed, and pretty demotivated. I was even considering pulling out of the competition because I thought, COVID was gonna for sure mess up my strength in the competition. So at this point I thought, what the hell is even the point? Until my friend sent me this message that I'm about to pull out on the screen right now. After I saw that, I decided to switch my mindset around and decided to not give up. I made this competition such a goal and dedicated to it so much to this point. Why the hell would I even give up now? It was literally just right around the corner, right? I wasn't gonna let my hard work go to waste. By the time my COVID went away, I lost 3 kilos, but that didn't stop me. Because at this point, I was literally just 1 week out from the competition, and I had 1 week to get all my strength back and make sure I peak on meet day. Long story short, meet day came up, and I fucking won. I went in as the underdog and came out on top just by literally flipping my mindset around. Even though I lost 3 kilos within the span of 1 week, literally only 2 weeks before the competition. Didn't train for a whole week as well, and I felt fucking lost and I felt defeated. Next thing you know, I manifested it and came out on fucking top, baby. Now, obviously, now that I got the competition out of the way, I can now fully focus on the bulk and building muscles. And around this time, summer was coming up. Everyone, started cutting, but not me. I decided to continue bulking for the rest of the season. And honestly, that probably turned out as one of the best decisions that I made, because in just this period of summer 2023, I pretty much built the most amount of muscles. So at this point, I was probably around 78 kilograms and gained a total of 8 kilos since the start of the bulk. And my goal was to get to 80, right? So 10 kilos in total. Pretty much, obviously, I was already pretty much nearly there. And now due to my combinations of strength training as well, I was able to get very strong on all of my lifts, since my primary focus was low volume training and lifting in that 6 to 8 rep range, keeping my intensity high and allowing myself to pull heavier numbers. Not to mention, I also got obviously a lot heavier in terms of weight, which helped me as well in terms of my strength. And obviously, because it helped me a lot in terms of my strength, it also complemented me very well in terms of my muscle building. During the summer, I wasn't really doing anything much other than, lifting and eating. So, it was pretty boring summer, but at least I was able to focus on putting on size. Fast forward a month later, I was able to put on those last 2 kilos within just a span of 1 month. And this is what I look like peak bulk. I will pull up on the screen again of what I look like. Some people might have considered me fat, some might have not, whatever, right? The point is, I was bulky as hell, and I gained a shit ton of size compared to the start, which is what I look like. And this was 10 months apart. Yes, the bulk took over 10 months, and yes, I did look very bulky. However, the point is, I gained a lot of size, right? And it was pretty much my most successful bulk so far, because the one that I did before that was dirty, it was short period, and it was a bad decision. So then I finally decided at 80 kilogram to finally start cutting and get shredded and review what I've built under all that fat. So I'll tell you guys right now the few things that I did differently and structured compared to the bulk to set up myself for a successful cut. First week, ate at maintenance, and then slowly drop my calories down to 2,000 calories in total. This is so that I don't lose weight too fast within the first week, because I wanted to let my muscles, settle in a bit first and do something which is I like to call marinate. You don't want to go from eating in a calorie surplus and feeding your body a more significant amount of energy for an extended period of time and then jump straight to a calorie deficit, because that could lead to muscle loss. Another thing that I did was track all my calories and macros. When I say macros, I really only care about protein, to be honest. But I made sure to eat around 0.7 to a gram of protein per pound of body weight, which is enough to not lose all of the muscles that I built during the bulk. Another thing that I did was I also implemented low intensity cardio. And what I chose during this cut was the cycling bike, whatever you want to call it, at the end of all of my workouts. And I continue to lift heavy. Most people are quick to find an easier or a quicker route instead of just sticking to the basic and staying consistent for an extended period of time. Because the truth is, I didn't take any supplements. I still really honestly don't. I didn't do any trending crazy diet or change my style of training at all. I just did everything that I just mentioned, the same thing over and over again consistently. You are not gonna go anywhere spending all of your time trying to find a crazy hack or the best fat burner or the best diet for weight loss, when you could be spending that time just doing the basics. Because at the end of the day, hate to break it to you guys, it's all about calories in, calories out. Eat below your calorie maintenance, which is what I did. Track it so you would, obviously make sure that you're actually doing it instead of just winging it, and you will inevitably lose weight. But now, obviously the weight that you lose, you want that to be fat, right? And not muscles. During a cut, you want to be able to retain and sometimes honestly even build as much muscles as possible. Now, this is depending on your starting point at the end of the day, and making sure that the weight that you lose is as much fat as possible. And obviously we do this by the things that I just mentioned just now earlier. I was personally aiming to lose 0.8 kilos per week, which obviously had a huge contribution to why I lost weight so quickly, because I was in a pretty big deficit, right? But look, most people will probably find that hard and challenging, which is why I recommend to just keep it at, around 0.5 to 0.8 kilos per week, and you kind of just have to figure out yourself how many calories that is for you specifically, because everyone is simply different, right? And how do you do that? Simply go to a calorie calculator, log in your height, weight, and age, and your activity levels, and it will show you the calories that you need to consume to maintain weight, to lose weight, and even to gain weight. Now, cardio. Do cardio to help you stay in a deficit, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're doing cardio, it's gonna be easier to stay in a deficit, and you would actually be able to eat more, right? Because what cardio does is it burns calories, which means your calorie maintenance goes up, right? When you burn calories, your calorie maintenance increases. And calorie maintenance is just the total calories your body burns on a daily basis. If you eat the same amount of calories as your body burns, then you'll just maintain weight. If you eat less, you'll lose weight. If you eat more, you gain weight. You get the point. Now, what did my training regimen look like at this point? I decided to take a break from powerlifting because of just a stack up of injuries, and also honestly my body was screaming at me for a break. Obviously now it became significantly harder for me to get stronger when I'm eating less, right? Because that's less energy consumed that would have contributed to my strength. And obviously also because of all of the changes that was going through my body, you know, losing a bunch of weight and body fat, but I still retain as much of my strength as possible, right? I wasn't just gonna let my strength deteriorate after all the hard work during the bulk. I just lifted the heaviest weight that I can control, kept my intensity high, continued to train till failure, and focus on retaining my strength rather than gain, right? And doing this, the leaner you get, the more I recommend doing this. Now, what you guys have probably been waiting this whole video to find out was how did I manage to not need to cut out my favorite food, right? During this cut, you know, I had days where I had KFC, ice cream, burgers, you name it, right? There's one thing that you just have to know and keep in mind, which is being able to control yourself and eat moderately. Now, what do I mean by this? You obviously can't just eat whatever you want every meal, right? Because obviously that would just defeat the purpose of trying to improve your health and discipline overall. But you can do things for it to fit your goals. What I did personally was I just fasted in the morning. So I didn't have any food in the morning, which allowed me to save more calories for me to eat later down the day, rather than eating small portions multiple times a day to keep myself quote unquote satiated. I just ate 2 bigger portion meals that were filling. It's funny because trying to restrict yourself from eating foods that you actually like is actually keeping you more fat than actually just eating it. Fasting in the morning, which is what I did, allowed me to fit in foods that most people think they would need to restrict when they try to lose weight. But doing that is unsustainable. Instead, I would recommend to keeping it at a ratio of 80 to 20. It would help you stick to the cut for longer and avoid you from binging and gaining all the weight back after the cut, or just binging every weekend. So in the morning, either just drink a coffee and stay busy. Honestly, you can just go to a gym or do cardio during this time if you're a morning person. The most you should be doing is having some fruits until lunch, which is when you're gonna have your first meal. Now, the results of this, I ended up looking like this, shredded, the leanest I've ever been. This is what I looked like at peak cut at 71 kilos, right? So I lost a total of 9 kilos within a span of just 10 weeks, so less than 3 months, right? While still retaining most of my muscles and strength and still being able to enjoy food. So that'll be the end of this video. That's pretty much just how I did it and how I went from, you know, fat to pretty much shredded, and, you know, within a span of just under 3 months. If you are a young guy who's kind of out of shape right now, you know, if you're either fat or skinny and you want help in building your dream body and getting aesthetic and getting jacked or whatever, I do offer one-on-one fitness coaching. Just book a call with me down below and I'll see if I can help. Thank you and see you in the next video. Bye.